Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to another episode of B&E Podcast. Going to break down week 17, one more week, week 15 in the playoffs start. I can't wait, especially since my team made the playoffs. So, yeah, man, let's get into it. Brandon, how we doing this New Year?
Doing good. Happy New Year to you and everyone out there.
Yes, sir.
Victory Wednesday.
Right?
All right. Let's get to this opening drive, everyone. The Eagles running back Saquon Barkley, he became the ninth player in NFL history to rush for more than 2,000 yards in a single season. He'll have the chance to surpass Eric Dickerson's NFL record Sunday against his former team, the Giants. Former head coach Rex Ryan and Ron Rivera, they're expected to interview for the Jets head coaching position later this month. The Cowboys, they've decided to cut Ezekiel Elliott and give him a chance to join another team that's headed to the playoffs. We'll see if he lands anywhere. Travis Kelce, the tight end there for the Kansas City Chiefs, he finished first in Pro Bowl voting. And 49ers owner Jed York, he said both his coach Kyle Shanahan and general manager John Lynch will be back next season there with the San Francisco 49ers.
Gotcha. All right, let's get into this Saturday game that we had over the weekend. Bengals beating the Broncos in overtime. Looking at this game, going to start the Broncos side. Looking at this game, Bo Nix for a rookie, man, he's doing really well. I think any other year he'd be like the pretty much guaranteed top pick for offensive rookie of the year. But this year, that goes to Jaden Daniels. But looking at his numbers, man, I mean, he did pretty good. I think he finished 24 of 31, about 200, 300 yards, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Marvin Mims siding everyone, 8 catches, 103 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But he was going against this guy named Joe Burrow, and him, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase just did what they wanted to do. Mike Gesicki as well, 10 catches. Joe Burrow completed 39 passes for 412 yards, 3 touchdowns. But they were close to losing this game. Their kicker, Cade York, missed a 33-yard field goal with 3 minutes left in overtime. In the overtime period. That was really shocking. But the defense, surprisingly enough, held their own, got a 3-and-out, made Bo Nix throw an incompletion on third down, got the ball back, and were able to win the game. So the Bengals still have a slight chance of making the playoffs. I think a lot of people would rather see them in just because of how electric Joe Burrow and an offense could be. I definitely think they could upset some of the higher seeds just because of Joe Burrow. Now, that defense is going to cause some misery probably, but if Joe Burrow is healthy and those offensive weapons they have, T. Higgins, especially Jamar Chase, are healthy, they can make some noise. So very interested to see how this season is going to end out and if the Bengals can make some noise and get into the playoffs. But Brandon, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, man, started out a little bit defensive battle. Denver's defense, they stopped Cincinnati twice in Bronco territory to help limit that scoreboard there in the first half. But at a halftime, man, Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, they kept attacking Riley Moss there across from Patrick Surtain II. He had missed the last 4 games with knee injury. I think most teams' game plan to stop Jamar Chase, but Saturday night it was T. Higgins. Like you said, Jamar Chase still had a good game, but T. Higgins, 12 targets. He caught 11 of them for 131 and 3 touchdowns. He did fumble there in the fourth quarter. That was his first fumble since 2021. But, yeah, back and forth there in the final quarter regulation. Bo Nix leads the league in passing yards outside of the pocket. I would have thought that was more so Josh Allen, but apparently it's the rookie there in Denver. That strike he had, the Mims in the end zone. Hilton was in front of him. Geno Stone was there on his backside. They reviewed it. Looked a little iffy to me, but they called it a touchdown. It was a great play for him. He had just thrown an interception to the linebacker Pratt there on the previous drive. And then that 51-yard pass he threw to Mims early in the fourth quarter as well, man. That was one of the prettiest passes I've ever seen in watching football over the years. So, overtime. Well, before I get to overtime, Sean Payton had the chance to go for 2. If I remember correctly, he called timeout. Like the offense stayed on the field, he called timeout, and then he decided to kick the ball. So I remember Rex Ryan on Get Up the following morning, he was like, or Monday morning, he was like, you can't give the ball back to Joe Burrow. You can't expect to beat him in overtime. Saying you got to take the opportunity to beat him when you got the chance to end it out. They probably wouldn't have got the ball back. If they did, it was maybe seconds left on the clock. It wouldn't have been enough time, more than likely, at that point. But yeah, overtime, both teams had a chance to win it. Denver, they couldn't move the ball at all, pretty much. They had, I think, 2 drives, 6 plays for 6 yards. You mentioned Cade York missed that field goal there. Um, but you always have a chance with Joe Burrow. It don't matter who you're playing, no matter what defensive schemes they got out there, you always got a chance with him. Um, Khalil Herbert, the backup running back, he did what he get paid to do, held things down, and then T. Higgins caught the game winner. So, yeah, Cincinnati has a chance. As you mentioned, I do not want to see them in the playoffs, so I'm hoping that Miami can win. I'm hoping that Denver, most importantly, can win next week. And then the Steelers, I'll be rooting for them Saturday afternoon or Saturday night. They're at home against the Bengals because I do not want to see this Cincinnati Bengal team. They are red hot, and you mentioned the fact that Bo Nix is probably would have had Rookie of the Year. Joe Burrow would likely have won MVP if he had a defense and he had won a couple more games. Legit, like this man is on a roll for real. So yeah, good game on Saturday night. One of the best ones I've seen all season, and ironically so, one of the other best games was against my Ravens against the Bengals. So the Bengals just play good games, man. They can put up points. They can score out anywhere. Their receivers can catch any type of ball. All that kind of stuff. It's a very dangerous team if they get in the playoffs. All right, everyone. Classic NFC North matchup. It ended in Minnesota's favor when the Vikings beat the Packers by 2 at US Bank Stadium. If Green Bay can avoid the Lions and the Vikings, they'd have only one loss. Their four out of their 5 losses were against their own divisional opponents. They legit struggle against these two teams. Jordan Love, he doesn't play like himself. The defense can't get off the field, and was exactly why they lost there on Sunday. Sam Darnold, he had a career day without Jair Alexander out there for the Green Bay defense, but it wasn't all Justin Jefferson like we would have thought it would have been. It was T.J. Hawkinson, Jordan Atkinson, and then a guy who I hadn't even heard of was Jalen Naylor. Every time I looked up, Naylor was catching something, man. They were 6 for 12 on third down, but I feel like it was a whole lot. They had more efficiency there on third down because it seemed like every time they got to third down, they was moving the chains a couple seconds later. But yeah, defensively, Minnesota got after Jordan Love. Josh Jacobs, he lost a fumble, but the pressures and the quarterback hit, they added up a little bit more on the stat sheet there. Yeah, Green Bay, they made it a game there at the end. It just wasn't enough. So Minnesota, I think they got 14 wins right now in the season. It's a big game coming up next. They're 14-2. So we'll see how that goes next week against the Lions. But what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man. Just like you were saying, the Packers made it a game at the end. You look at this score, you would think it was a lot closer than it actually was. But for the most part, the Packers were trailing the game. Most of the day they were trailing. Leading into the halftime, they were trailing into the fourth quarter until they put up those 15 points in the fourth quarter to make things interesting. Kind of similar to when they played the Vikings in week 4. They lost that game too by 2 points. Score was 31-29, but the Packers had some penalties, had some turnovers. They fumbled in this game, lost a fumble. And then, like you said, that defense could not get off this field. Especially, I thought they were going to end up pulling a rabbit out of the hat, but no, unfortunately, that defense could not get out the field. Vikings got the ball, 2 minutes left, and they were able to convert on first down and end the game. I've been saying all year, I don't trust Sam Darnold. And every week, just about, he's been telling me, well, shut the hell up, and I'll show you what I can do. Another week of, like you said, great numbers, 377 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson did his thing. There was a play he made that didn't count. It was a great catch by Justin Jefferson, but I think it got turned around by a penalty. So another great win for the Vikings. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a run in the playoff. Just how well they play on both sides of the ball. That offense, Sam Darnold leading the way. I'm very interested in what his offseason is going to be like. If the Vikings, want to give him another chance where they let him ride off in the free agency, where he's probably going to get some big money. So yeah, great win for the Vikings. I believe they're in first place now in the conference, if I'm not mistaken. Let me verify that real quick. I'm sorry, that would be Detroit. Damn, Detroit's. So we got Minnesota's 14-2, and they're in a wild card spot. That's crazy. They got Detroit as a leader. They're 14-2 too. So that's. I think they play each other next week too, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
whoever
Yeah,
wins Sunday night wins the top seed.
that's probably. I won't say it's like playoff implications of both teams are in, but
It
I'm
is.
pretty sure both of these teams are going to want that number one seed to get that bye
Yeah.
week. But yeah, man, good game, good win for the Vikings. Packers, I just don't know. Maybe it was, like you said, Jair Alexander not being out there, but Jordan Love, looking at his numbers, only 185 yards passing.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs, for the most part, was held in check. He only had 69 yards rushing. So Packers are in the playoffs. It's going to be a tough team either way, but I expected a little bit more for them this year. So kind of, I don't want to say disappointed, but I guess a little shocked that they got swept by the Vikings this year. Just overall, thought they'd just be a little better. Don't get me wrong; they still got 11 wins, but yeah, I thought they have a little bit more power with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get to this game. I really want to talk about. You see me wearing a jersey, everyone. Commanders beat the Falcons. Another overtime win, 30-24. Same score as a Bengals Broncos game. Oh my God, this was a very stressful, frustrating game to watch. Didn't make it any better that I had Chris Collinsworth commentating the whole night. I really wanted to mute my TV, I really did, but I just kept listening to that clown. Thankfully, Mike Tirico was there too to offset it, but my Lord, was he getting on my damn nerves. But the mess that defense was doing, I mean, not just the defense, there was penalties on the offensive side of the ball too, missed opportunities. When you needed a stop from the defense, they couldn't get you a stop, but it didn't matter. We got Jaden Daniels, rookie sensation. Let me just read some of these stats that he did, man. Daniels joined Mike Vick as the only quarterbacks in NFL history to record 225 plus passing yards, 3 plus passing touchdowns, and 125 plus rushing yards in a single game. I don't want to say he did everything by himself because he didn't block, offensive line block. Receivers caught the ball. You know, Terry McLaurin, I don't want to say he got shut down, but AJ Terrell and the Falcons defense made sure that Terry McLaurin wasn't going to bust him up. But other guys stepped up. Olamide Zaccheaus, Zach Ertz, they both had touchdowns. Zach Ertz had 2 touchdowns, including that game-sealing one in overtime. But, man, Jaden Daniels, man, like you mentioned earlier, 127 yards rushing. B-Rob, he didn't really do too much damage. He only had 60 yards and 30 carries. But Jaden Daniels, man, when we needed to make a play, he made a play happen. There was a play early in the first half. He got folded up, his knee and his foot got behind him or underneath him. And I was like, oh, my God. I literally screamed out, oh, my God, because I thought he blew his knee out on that tape. But he hopped right up, walked it off, and continued to play, man. If he just masked so many things, I mean, we can stay on the field. We keep that sorry ass. We keep the defense off the field so they can't sink the. I need to stop. The defense. They're doing their best. They're doing their best. But anyway, I mean, Daniels came through and the team needed him the most. Man, down 17-7 at halftime. I mean, he just did what he needed to do. I mean, Michael Penix, for the Falcons side of the ball, he looked pretty good out there. Chris Collinsworth reminded us every damn time he made a good throw. Oh, that was such a good throw. Bijan Robinson, he was great too. And then we had a Kyle Pitts sighting. I kind of wonder what Kyle Pitts numbers would have been like if, you know, Penix was able to play out the whole year, not just Kirk Cousins out there stinking it up for the last 8 weeks or however many weeks you wanted to call it. But back to this game, man. Jaden Daniels, man. I mean, I might have to get this. I gotta find this jersey in the black version too, because I mean the way he's playing, man, just great. And then shout out to Jeremy Reeves as well. Viral moment for him. He proposed to his girlfriend, now fiance, after the end of the game. That was a pretty cool moment for them. But just, you know, great game for the Commanders. Ugly game too. Going into this game, I was really nervous. I thought this is a game that the Falcons were going to win. Thank God, Young Wei Koo wasn't there out there. Believe it was Riley Patterson who missed that 56-yard field goal because our damn defense, you know what they did, just couldn't get off the field when they needed to. Made bonehead mistakes. I think it was Michael Davis who had the pass interference that put them in field goal range. But like I said, he missed that. Riley Patterson missed that 56-yard field goal. We were able to get the ball in overtime. Jaden Daniels did Jaden Daniels things, man. Drove down the field. Cool moment clip from Marcus Mariota when he was in a timeout telling him, stand up, man, catch your breath. Go out there and win this game with your God-given talent. And that's exactly what Jaden Daniels did. Threw a strike to Zach Ertz. We're 30-24. We got the 6th seed in the playoffs wild card spot. Got the Cowboys next week. We need to beat them to maintain that 6th spot. So that's a little hazy for me too, but we'll get to that the next show. But Brandon, what were your thoughts on this game, man?
Yeah, first things first, both these franchises, I think they'll be in good hands with these young quarterbacks. Phenomenal guys, 2 humble young quarterbacks. So that's good news for both these franchises. Commanders, as you mentioned, up to the 6th seed in the NFC. There after the overtime win. I talk about a lot. I think 2 keys to success with a young quarterback is a good tight end and a consistent offensive coordinator. We know what Cliff Kingsbury's been doing. That we could tell the difference in the offense from last year to this year. But Sunday night we saw why the tight end is so important as well. Zach Ertz, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner there in overtime. They're in double coverage. But yeah, the kid's song, man, head and shoulders, knees and toes, man. Jaden Daniels, he showed it all Sunday night there. 127 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns through the air, 227 as well. Good to see a little bit of Chris Rodriguez back in the mix as well. He scored a touchdown for y'all. I know you mentioned, what happened to him. I think it was after the Titans game. He kind of disappeared or they weren't using him as much. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Jaden Daniels and his team in the playoffs on national TV. I think it's good for the franchise. It's good for the city of Washington, nation's capital. So yeah, good win for y'all. The Falcons, they're going to need a little bit of help to get into the playoffs. I think Tampa Bay controls their own destiny now. So we'll see how they go. But yeah, it would be nice to see Penix in the playoffs as well. A couple of rookie quarterbacks are headed there, so a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be too nice to see that defense though, the way they.
Yeah.
But before this episode gets on to the next part, this episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD health and wellness company. Check out their line of CBD infused products, which are a perfect after workout refuel for athletes, pain reliever for weekend warriors, and even natural sports drink for us armchair quarterbacks. Their featured product is CBD infused honey, which is a personal favorite of mine, as well as tinctures of mint and natural flavors. They are veteran, woman, and minority owned, so come get some of this sweet hempitation and taste the premium difference. Use code B&E for 15% off your order. Their website is premium.com. And now let's get back to our show, Brandon.
Player awards, offensive side of the ball, I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield, shake and bake as I call him. I know it was against the Carolina Panthers, but he put up 27 for 32, 359 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Man, if I had a fantasy football team, if I did fantasy football, I would have Baker Mayfield, but I'd only put him out there like every other week because he's like 1 week on, 1 week off, and this was a very good week. He's my offensive player of the week. Who do you got?
I'm right there with you, man. I got to show love to your boy, too. Like you said, the number speaks for itself. 5 touchdowns. Did his thing out there. I think Mike Evans is going to break that record or tie the record with Jerry Rice, too, for consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. And Baker Mayfield, I'm pretty sure, wants to help him do that. So, yeah, Baker Mayfield is my offensive player of the week, too.
Defensive player of the week, I'm going to go to the entire Ravens defense. No stretching the rules, but we shut down the entire Houston pass game. We shut down their run game. They did not score on offense. Honestly, didn't get close to scoring. 5 sacks defensively for us, and Kyle Hamilton had an interception as well. Great game for the Ravens defense down there. Christmas Day on this year, I was able to sit back and not have high blood pressure. Who's your defensive player of the week?
I got to show some love to Kirby Joseph, defensive back for the Lions. 2 interceptions in that game against the Niners. I think he leads the league now, about 9 or 10 interceptions. Also had 5 tackles. So I'm going to show some love for Kirby Joseph, defensive back for the Lions.
All right, special teams. I think you call him Dicker the kicker. Cam Dicker, 4 for 4 field goals, 4 extra points as well. Who do you got this week?
I don't think I've ever mentioned this team this year. It might have been for a bonehead player of the year, but I can't remember if I mentioned them for offensive or special teams or defense player of the year. So let me give some love to the Jaguars and their kicker, Cam Little. 2 of 2 field goals and 2 of 2 of extra points as well. So I'll shout out to the Jaguars. They definitely need all the help they can get. So Cam Little, my special team of the week kicker for the Jaguars.
Excuse me, bonehead player call of the week. I'm going to go up to New York, the entire New York Giants team. I know everybody says the players do not tank, but y'all had the number 1 draft slot in your possession. Just a week or 2 ago, we saw Shedeur Sanders out there on the streets of New York tossing passes around Malik Neighbors. Seemed like they was either going to have the opportunity to take him or Cam Ward at number 1. Then y'all decide to win and score more points Sunday than y'all did in the past 3 games. Okay, now y'all drop to number 3 in the draft. We'll see who the Giants are able to pick up there if they stay at number 3 or they happen to lose against Philadelphia on Sunday, which is more than likely going to happen. We'll see where they end up when it's all said and done. Late Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, when the final draft, the top 20 comes out or whatever. But Lord have mercy, man. Y'all been losing games left and right, and then all of a sudden y'all decide to win. Come on. Who's your bonehead player call of the week?
I like that one. You kind of got to throw the Raiders in there because I think they on a damn winning streak right now too. I think they out of the top 5 draft position just because they want to win games at the end. Maybe that's a FU to Mark Davis. I think I read something that they're looking to move on from Antonio Pierce, which I don't agree with, but you know how that goes. But back to bonehead plays of the week. I kind of, hinted at it when I was talking about the Commanders and just how sorry that defense was. And I mean, we stopped them on 3rd down. They're punting the ball away. And it's not just Mike Sarenseal. It's basically the whole damn defensive line lined up all sides and basically let the freaking Falcons stay on the field, gave them more chances to win the game. So I got to give it to the whole defense, or I guess that's special teams you want to call it, for lining up all sides. Mike Sarenseal was the guy who got flagged, but looking at that play, the whole freaking defense was pretty much all sides. I mean, damn. But next time, why don't you just have the whole damn team line up on the field, have some players in the backfield if you want to act like clowns like that, man. That game was you don't understand how pissed I was watching that game. That just for Jada Daniels to just make it all go away, my stress and just pissed off level just go away. So yeah, I got to give it to the special teams defense of the Washington Commanders, specifically those plays where they kept the damn defense on the field, the bonehead mistakes like lining up all sides on a damn punt. Come on now, good Lord Almighty. Oh my goodness. All right, let's get into these other games of Week 17 that happened over the weekend, shall we? Chiefs clinched AFC's top seed after cruising past the Steelers 29-10. Ravens mopped the floor with the Texans 31-2. Chargers stormed past the Patriots 40-7. Rams beat the Cardinals 13-9. Bills dropped 40 on the Jets at Highmark Stadium. Final score 40-14. Tyrod Taylor finished that game out for the Jets. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will be back there next year. Raiders win their second straight 25-10 over New Orleans. Giants finally won a game 45-33 over the Colts. Eagles crushed the Cowboys 41-7. Bucks were all over the Panthers 48-14. Jags outlasted Titans 20-13. Dolphins beat the Browns 20-3. And Lions got their revenge against the Niners in Santa Clara Monday Night Football 40-34. I'll start with the Thursday night games last week. I think all of them were awful from a fan perspective. Chiefs Steelers was kind of good, and then it just ended. And then the Ravens Texans game. I started watching basketball games. And usually, if the basketball game was football on, I'll stick with the football. But I started watching basketball just because that game was just so damn non-competitive, and I kind of felt sorry for the Texans. You can see CJ Stroud looking over there like a sad puppy, seeing his team just not performing well. But Brandon, which of these games caught your eyes the most?
Yeah, Chiefs and Steelers, man. I was driving to my sister's house. I didn't see most of the game. I saw pretty much the second half. Pretty much same feeling like you had. We'll see if the Chiefs will score 30 next week. I'm pretty sure they will. They're one of the only teams that hadn't scored 30 this year. Ravens Texans, great all around win. No real complaints. Good win, and now we control our own destiny thanks to the Chiefs and the Steelers. The Chiefs beating the Steelers and the Steelers losing to the Chiefs. We can win Saturday afternoon first and win the AFC North if we just win. Raiders and Saints, 2 words. Brock Bowers, enough said there. The man is on he's really good. And if he was on a better team or if they was winning more games, he'd be getting more consideration for Offensive Player of the Week. Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year as well. And then Eagles and Cowboys, man. Philly swept the Cowboys for the first time since 2011. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right, everyone. Good.
Yeah, man. Definitely got a shout out, like you said. Brock Bowers broke Mike Dicker's record for single season receiving yards by a rookie. Had 1,076 receiving yards. That record was set in 1961. 60 plus years of that record. So salute to Brock Bowers for that. And then just the NFC East. I think this is like the 20th consecutive year where the division winner last year didn't win it again this year. There's craziness going on in that NFC East division as well. Just want to point those things out. And that Bucks-Panthers game was kind of crazy. All those touchdowns being thrown by Baker Mayfield. I'm kind of happy that the Eagles whooped on the Cowboys, but I'm kind of pissed too because the Eagles just get on my damn nerves. So I don't know how to felt about that one too. But yeah, hopefully I can't wait for these playoffs to start, man. I really can't.
Yep. All right, everyone. For our Lackey people, I don't know if you heard this, Ed, or not. Our 12th grade vice principal, Glenn Jones, passed away. I want to say it was yesterday, New Year's Eve, or a couple days prior. Great man. I remember David Simpson and I was my best friend in high school. Him and Justin Turf and I, we snuck out to La Plata High School just before prom that year. And the only person that got in trouble was me. I got suspended for it. I remember sitting in his office. That was just one of the moments. But I think my favorite moment with him was before the senior picnic, we had to go to the auditorium. So, when you're walking in there, you're talking to your friends and this and that. So I sat down, and I think I was on the back row. And it was like everybody was in there talking, right? They were trying to get everybody seated so they can get the little assembly thing going, right? And all of a sudden, he gets on the mic. He says, "Simpson." And I'm like, of all people, man. Like, I wasn't even like Phil Jackson, Kendall, like the class clowns, the louder ones of the group. But he called me out right then and there. I was like, man, he's a special man. But yeah, condolences to his family, man. Great man. I wish we had him all 4 years. I wish he could have been principal, man. I wish he could have been everything. Teach us all of our classes and everything, man. He was just that special, man. He used to hit us in the chest. I don't know if he ever did that to you, but many people said that. Throw kids against the wall, that type of stuff, and got away with it. It wasn't another vice principal like him, in my opinion. So yeah, condolences to his family. I don't know if you have any moments or any encounters with him during that senior year or not.
No, but I knew he was. I did remember seeing him a lot during that last year. So definitely rest in peace to Mr. Jones.
Yep, for sure. All right, everyone. Only 1 week remains of regular season action. Will be a big one. We have still got to find out who's going to win the AFC North. The NFC North, that's a big battle. Sunday Night Football and the NFC South. There's still some wild card positioning as well that must be figured out. Take a moment, if you can, to hit the subscribe button. Follow us on IG at B&E Podcast and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Podcast B&E. We'll be back later this week, Friday, to discuss some of those key games that we've been talking about during this show. Break it all down, a big Week 18. Looking forward to it. And Black Monday as well. Right around the corner, we'll see what coaches survive and what coaches are headed out the door with their respective organizations. So, yeah, until next time, love one another.